football team nation, what is going on? How's everyone doing? We are in a dead moment of the Washington football team off season. Minicamp is over. We get some good pictures to look at and some good mic'd up. I wish we would have saw a little bit of more mic'd up. Maybe Chase Young, maybe Jamin Davis, maybe Dyami Brown. But hey, I'm cool with watching the Ron Rivera mic'd up every day. Other than that, Todd, how you feeling?
Just to be clear, you're talking about watching the same one every day.
Yes.
I knew that's what you were talking about. I'm doing well. I'm doing great. This is definitely the toughest, most dead stretch before things just start and just stay until February, really. You just get till the end of July and then we'll be pretty much good to go. We'll have something going every day. So I think we can do it. We can manage. I mean, you have a couple things. You've got that, and then you've got your wedding. So you've got a couple things to anticipate. It'll be a fun football season for you.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. How are you?
Preseason. I'm looking forward to preseason.
I'm actually really looking forward to the preseason. I don't know why, but I am. I know why, but yeah.
I guess because we didn't get it last year, so
right.
We really appreciate the preseason.
Exactly. Like we should have never complained.
Right.
And you get to see the young guys play. Get to see like quarterbacks like Taylor Heinicke and then Kyle Allen and some of these young receivers who may or may not make the roster. So we just got to make it the next about 6 weeks, almost exactly 6 weeks, I think, until the start of training camp. But yeah, how are you doing? I see you got a lamp back there.
Yeah, I've been moving the room around, the office around a little bit. I'm trying to set up a spot for a coffee bar after visiting Seattle, Washington. I've become a coffee snob. I guess that's what they say. So I got a pour over coffee. What is it? A pour over coffee maker and then a kettle. So I'm gonna get some coffee beans, get some grinder, and then have a nice little coffee shop right here in my office. So I don't spend $2 a day at 7-Eleven for coffee. So it adds up.
Nice. Okay. All right. I can swing by and I can be like a taste tester for you.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
Give you some ideas. I'm not a coffee drinker at all, so don't listen to anything I have to say. Yeah. But I'll try it. Are you the type of guy who you said 7-Eleven? I don't know if you go to Starbucks, but when you go, if you go to Starbucks, do you like have an order with like 10 stipulations under it? Like,
no, I don't really like Starbucks. I think that's like too fancy. Like, give me the black coffee with a little bit of creamer, and go from there. I'm a caramel macchiato guy, though. If I do go to Starbucks, just keep it simple.
Okay, I'm a strawberries and cream frappuccino guy. I like my coffee better cold. I don't know what it is, but I think my parents were such like big coffee addicts, is probably the word, that I'm like not it at all.
Yeah.
But hey, I'm happy for you though.
I think it's the experiences that I've had with coffee that kind of won me. It's just
that's
like
beautiful
because I don't drink, so it's like coffee's like my
coffee's your alcohol.
Yeah, coffee's my alcohol.
Oh, that's funny. All right, that's cool though. No, I between the two, I'll pick coffee 10 times out of 10.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got JP Finlay from NBC Sports Washington and from 106.7 The Fan. You mentioned Finlay. He's going to stop by for a bit, answer some of our questions about, anything about the team, what he saw at minicamp, OTAs, this upcoming season. It's just, it's a fun interview. I love JP. I'm a big fan of his, have been for a while now. I know we both are. I know there's some people who do not like JP Finlay. I don't know why. He's just kind of real. He keeps it 100. Yeah. I think sometimes maybe people think he's too negative or pessimistic or think that he looks for or reads into things too much or something. I don't know. It's his job to, be unbiased and to kind of see potential problems and to talk about anything that could potentially be going on, good or bad. So I respect him for it. So we're going to have that conversation. Before we do that real quick, I want to ask you one thing. So last night, my wife was kind of making fun of me or of us because she'll hear us recording and she is a fan. Right. Mm-hmm. But what she said was that every year you guys are so excited for the season. And you're like, this is going to be I'm just so excited for the season. And then by week 3, we're checked out and we're just I don't even care. I don't even care anymore. And I was like, first of all, that's not true. Okay, that's not true. I was like, it depends on the season.
Yeah.
Like, we're always excited for football to start.
All right.
But we're not always necessarily excited about our season or what we think it'll be. Like, I know 2019 when Case Keenum was starting, I was like, and then last year, I don't really remember, but I was like, I don't think that's true. Now, the being checked out by week 5, maybe I would give her, because they were 0-5 this past year. But I don't know. What do you think about that? Is that true?
I want to say I wasn't checked out last year because there were 2 people in the draft that I really, really wanted.
Right.
Kept my attention. So there's either we're gonna have a really, really bad pick and we got a guy that we can look at in the draft,
exactly.
or we're going to the playoffs. So
exactly.
I mean, they always keep me interested,
Yeah, I mean, one way or another, that's the thing. Exactly. We're never checked out. We're always rooting for them.
Right.
Are we rooting for them to win or lose? That depends on how their season is going. I think 2019 was probably, the most terrible one in recent memory. The Dwight, that was bad. But that's the other thing. There's this misconception that we're always rooting for them to lose. We always want them to lose, get draft picks. No, that's not true. We always want them to win until they are a losing team. And then it's like, there's no point in winning anymore.
Right.
I know there's a lot of debate on that whole thing, and you should always root for your team to win. I'm too logical of a thinker to accept that line of thinking.
Yeah.
I just can't accept that at all.
The thing is, in 2019, we actually won, even though we lost because we got Ron Rivera.
Yeah.
And then we got Chase Young.
Young. Exactly. I 100% agree. Well, like, if we had beat the Giants that year, and that it was the Giants game, right? And the Eagles game, both of them were really close games. If you win one of those games, how does that affect your long-term success? You went 4-12 instead of 3-13.
Yeah.
You picked 1 or 2, maybe 3 picks later. You got a good player, but like, you see what Chase Young has been here.
Yeah.
Not only if we lost to if we beat the Giants would have got Chase Young.
Yeah.
Now you're playing against him.
Oof.
You just get to the logic. No, there can be advantages to losing 100% once it gets to that point.
Yeah.
I know we agree on that, but
I
know we agree, but there's definitely people who don't. And it's fine if you don't agree. We are accepting of all beliefs, just we don't agree. All right, let's go into our interview with JP Finlay from NBC Sports Washington. Hey, can you hear?
Yeah, what's up, guys? How you doing?
Hey, what's up, JP? Doing well. How are you?
Hey, doing well, man. Doing well.
Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate your time. So we'll hit you with a few questions, and we'll let you get on your, I'm sure, very busy day.
Cool, man. No worries.
All righty. And I'm the Todd half of this equation. My co-host Tay over there.
Okay.
All right. So let's go ahead. All right, first question for you. So as I imagine you are, or maybe are about to be on your way to the studio, congratulations on B-Mitch and Finlay on your radio show. Never had a chance to say that. Just, I want to know kind of what that's been like for you, how it's been going. I'm sure it's been just completely new experience.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's been a lot of fun. I'd kind of grown somewhat familiar with the radio world, just doing a lot of like fill-ins and appearances and stuff. But doing it every day is a different grind, man. It's I've worked with B-Mitch for a while now, and we've become good friends before we did this, so that was a big help. I like it a lot, man. It's a different medium. Like, there's more kind of instantaneous feedback than anything I've ever done, just because, you can take callers or whatever.
Right.
And like, just kind of being active on Twitter, like, people are tweeting at you all the time, which is fun. Like, I love the podcast, obviously, but there's like nothing instantaneous about that, Yeah. And having 4 hours every day, like, gives you more time to kind of do other things. I mean, I don't know if you guys listen, but we probably still talk about Washington football, I don't know, 70-80% of the time.
Yeah.
But it just allows you to branch out a little bit more and mess around a little bit more. And just in all the work I do, I just try to make it fun. And I feel like if I'm having fun, then the people that are like, you know, engaging with the content will have fun too. And so far, I feel like we're hitting that goal.
I agree with you. I think you are hitting that goal. Go ahead, Tate.
Yeah, same along the lines of that. How do you keep it fresh? I know you said like 4 hours a day, and you know every day is different than making an appearance here and there. What are some things you like to do to keep it fresh or keep it entertaining and keep people plugged in? I know you all do an excellent job already, but just want to kind of hear your opinion on it.
Yeah, it's interesting because having built a podcast from like nothing, right? You have to bring a unique perspective and kind of start to rely on some things that I think a big thing with trying to develop an audience is like giving them deliverables, like consistency.
Mm-hmm.
I'm older than you guys, but I don't know if you grew up listening. Like for me, like the two most influential programs in my life have been the Junkies and then Kornheiser, who had a radio show forever now as a podcast.
Yeah.
And one thing I've always noticed those guys do is like have consistent bits and guests, and like you kind of build like this universe, right? Like all right, this is the universe we live in. We want you guys to join, or you people to join us, and get to know the characters in our universe as well. So I think that's a big part of it. And also you got to credit, like the producers come up with a lot of stuff, like Landfill comes up with a lot of stuff. And then I think you just got to be willing to like share some of your personal life. Like I'll get up there and complain about, like not being able to find Old Bay. It's just dumb stuff. You got to be able to, I think for me, a big thing is just being able to laugh at yourself and not take yourself too seriously. And I mean, even when I'm going in on like a football topic or something, like it's still football. It's not life or death. And like, I think there's some folks that maybe get too caught up in the seriousness of sports, like sports, man.
No, that's a fair point. And I will say, I'm sure everyone who listens to our podcast listens to the Washington Football Talk podcast. But I mean, I think you guys really set the standard by the way that you do things. I think your show made a lot of people, your podcast made a lot of people want to do that because you guys, have a lot of fun. To keep it fresh, you have different segments, you talk about your personal lives, and it's very, it's just flawless. Just, you work together very well. I think lots of people have desired to have that. So great work with that as well. You're definitely a natural, not just on the blogger side, but definitely in terms of speaking as well. Okay, so let's talk a little. Let's talk a little football. So you've been around this team for a while. You've been covering this team for a while.
Can I compliment you guys real quick though? We're just having a love fest here.
Sure, I'm not going to stop you.
So I don't know when I first got like exposed to your content, for lack of a better word, but I want to say it was like last season, like during the season last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you guys do a great job of having like a pertinent, factual Twitter feed. And I think that's huge for a podcast. Just like information people want, information people find interesting. And then I remember in season, you guys did a great job of like cutting up clips and isolating plays and stuff. And that's how, I became a fan of yours. I think it was last fall, but maybe it was prior to that. I don't remember the exact date, but you guys are building something the right way.
I appreciate that. Thanks so much.
For sure. Appreciate
that.
Much.
I know I think it was a couple years ago, maybe 19 or 18, where I think I took a picture with you at camp. So to go from that to being complimented is a pretty meteoric rise for me. I'm gonna just ride on that for the rest of the day, JP. I appreciate that.
Dude, I'm serious, man. I'm serious because it's so easy in like the Twitter or blogosphere world to just get caught up in like putting out like just irrational takes or just being like super argumentative. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. There's a lot of weird corners in the Washington football Twitter world. And
There
I think you guys are smart to not engage that direction. And like, when you just have good stats and stuff, like that stuff is so relevant. And like, I feel like we've like quoted like stats on the pod. I'm sure others do. So you're doing a good job, man.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I think we decided when we first started that we were never going to argue with people on there. We were just like, we're just not going to do it. We're going to say what we have to say, like it or not. It is what it is. We'll just try to build some relationships, make friends, and not too many enemies. So thanks again, JP.
And some of the arguing happens, right? Like there's certainly there's space for like reasoned disagreement.
Right.
And like sports are subjective. You know what I mean? Like outside of final scores and yards, like you can have a reasoned disagreement if, you know, a quarterback missed a receiver or a receiver fell down on his route or whatever the hell happened.
Right.
But like, you know, the superfluous stuff is I think you're smart in trying to avoid.
Right. The people who are, I think someone told us, said we were a weak and pathetic pair because we were going to just support whatever the new name was. Those are the types that we tend to not engage. And
there's not a lot of rationality in that, Mike.
No. But, you know, it kind of gives you something to laugh at, which is nice too, though. So it's not all bad. Okay. You've been around for a while. You've reported on so many different players and coaches and coaching staffs. There's all this talk about how different the feel is with Rivera, and the culture, of course, is a big word, but you're in that building, you know, you're there, OTAs, mini camps, training camp upcoming. I'd like to get your sense on how things really do feel different or look different, or how the energy is different at in Nova Sports Performance Park.
Sure. Good for you for nailing the sponsor.
Yeah, you did.
I think, I think there's like a little bit of like a misperception with Ron, that he's like this real hard ass all the time, because he's not. Players love him, and players think he's a player's coach, but there's a very different level of seriousness, I'd say, throughout practice and workouts, and just some of the frivolity nonsense has kind of vanished. And just a little more focus on what they're doing. And you notice it, like, I mean, perhaps it's like overly simplistic, but like when there's time in between drills, people are hustling to and from the drills. Like there's less lollygagging, but at the same time, like I've said this a lot, like I love defensive backs. Like I just love watching them and how they interact. Like they are the cockiest group of people on the planet, and they have to be, because their job is damn near impossible.
Right.
And I mean, like every practice I've ever watched, like different teams warming up, like the DBs are always dancing and talking, and like that's just how they are. Right. And so there's still room for that. You know what I mean? Like Ron played in the league. He understands how players interact, how they process. And I think that's an important part that maybe like not everybody knows or sees, is that like they're still playing music at practice, you know, like it's not like it hasn't gone from a frat party to military school. Like some of the frat party stuff is gone, certainly, but it's still the NFL, where you got to make your players comfortable and happy.
Right. And there was a clip that the team posted, I think maybe last week or so, of Rivera mic'd up. And there was one little part in there where I think it was Kendall Fuller, maybe some other defensive back, like you said, and they were playing some little game. I think they were trying to throw something and get it like on a specific yard line, but not past it, or close, whoever gets it closer. And they were like, you know, playing it with, I think he walked over there, and they're like, who do you think can get it closer? And he kind of engaged them. And I think that gives the tiniest glimpse into what you're referring to, where he's not like, hey guys, cut it out, but then when practice is happening, he has a certain expectation. So, and I think that's probably a great balance that maybe we haven't seen in the past with coaches, where it's all somewhat one way, or there's just not an understanding on both sides. Go ahead, Tate.
Yeah, speaking of the cornerbacks, Ben St. Juste, he was one of my favorite picks in the draft. Seeing his size, his length, and I was telling Todd, we haven't really had a corner like that in some time that I can think of, that big. I mean, now we have William Jackson on the other side, of course. What's your overall opinion on Ben St. Juste and the draft class for that matter?
Yeah, I mean, St. Juste was impressive, man, during minicamp, and that size and the speed are real. I know they're really excited about him. I think he has a real opportunity too, because they love Fuller's versatility, and I think, it's minicamp is one thing where there's no hitting, not a ton of offense has really been installed yet. But I think he has a real opportunity. If he can emerge as that third corner, I think that helps him a lot. I know, like, Jimmy Moreland is a playmaker, but for both sides of the ball. Like he'll make plays. He'll get to his hands, he has a nose for the ball, but he also loses guys in coverage. I don't think they want Jimmy to be their third guy.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, you kind of get into the Greg Stroman, Danny Johnson universe we've been in for a few years. Right. I think corner is kind of like offensive line, where you're better off with like I'd rather have 5 or 6 good corners than 2 elite corners and 4 C's and D's.
Right.
And I think the O-line's a similar spot where depth is so vital. Because, I mean, hell, at quarterback, at least three guys are playing 60% of your snaps.
Right.
Right. And often 4 guys are playing 40% of your snaps.
Yeah.
So the last thing you want is for that to really take a hit as you kind of keep it moving. So I think if St. Juste can play, it's a huge asset for them. And I think he can. I caution a little bit about counting on a rookie maybe week 1. Like, I think if you look at even the development of like Cam Curl, Antonio Gibson last year, like those guys were good and had good rookie seasons, but they weren't necessarily good in September. Mm-hmm. This year will be different because there is OTAs, there is an off season. So those guys aren't going to get to Richmond with their first taste of pro football a month before the season. But I think you got to be a little patient there.
Right.
But I think if St. Juste can play and he can play right away, that's a big bonus for this team.
Yeah, JP, my thinking with St. Juste was I think that his development can happen quicker as opposed to most normal circumstances because of the D-line. He's going to have opportunities to pick the ball off, considering the D-line picks up where it left off last year. So that's why I'm excited, because I'm like, man, I mean, you don't really have to do much if the D-line's playing like that, or the linebackers, So that's why I'm very high on them. For that reason as well.
No, it makes sense, man. I didn't watch a ton of Minnesota. They were really good in 19, right?
Yeah.
Was when they had like a Rose Bowl season or something. And I mean, they're well coached, and that secondary had that stud Winfield. So like, I mean, there's clearly some players. I think he has a real opportunity.
Yeah. And talking about the rookies, obviously at OTAs and minicamps, most positions can be hard to get a grasp on. Corner and wide receiver kind of feel like the two that you can kind of get somewhat of a feel for. So let's just quickly, the other third rounder, Dyami Brown. How much do you think he's going to contribute this year?
I mean, he looks like a stud. I think he could contribute a lot. They upgraded that position. I wrote this. I'm not sure. And I haven't studied every roster across the league, right? But maybe you could say the Patriots tight end room or something. But I'm not sure there's a single position group in the NFL that had the overhaul the Washington receiver group did. And a lot of that, unfortunately, is I think because they were so bad last year.
Right.
I mean, dude, more than 60% of their wide receivers they broke camp with were undrafted. And that is just far too much of a concentration of undrafted players at skill position.
Right.
So they have really worked to overhaul it. And I think Brown's a part of that. Obviously, Samuel's a part of that. I think Adam Humphrey's going to have a bigger role than maybe folks are realizing. I think Cam Sims, it's going to be wild because I think they are – I mean, that's going to be a serious roster battle for the 6th spot.
Right.
But as far as Dyami Brown specifically, he seems intuitive on the field, certainly a vertical threat. It's funny, his speed is like it's like a slow build. Like he doesn't seem that fast off the line, and then you look up and he's kind of leaving corners. He kind of glides, like he runs upright. He's a little taller than I expected. He's got long legs. I think the thing that they won't tolerate with him is kind of the only knock on him, and it was similar with McLaurin coming out of Ohio State, was like easy catches, bubble screens and stuff, just dropping them, just focus catches, just simple mistakes.
Right.
And if that plagues him, that'll hurt his playing time. But he's aware of that, I mean, he knew it coming out of Carolina. That was the knock on him, and I'm sure the staff has worked on it. So it'll kind of be up to him.
Fair enough.
There's a lot of mouths to feed too.
Yeah. It's a good problem to have compared to last year. There weren't enough.
Sure.
I'd say.
My thing with Dyami, I think that he has the most personality out of all of the receivers. Like he's more like, Terry's pretty serious, but he has the, so I'm excited. It's kind of get like that diva feel out of Dyami, which we haven't had in a long time. So I'm looking forward to Dyami.
You're the first dude that's excited about a diva wide receiver. But dude, talking to him a few times now, I don't think he might have more flash, and I think it's so dope he's wearing number 2 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I don't see him as like complaining about his catches or any of that kind of stuff.
Right.
Because that diva wideout stuff can kind of cut both ways. Like it's fun to have a guy with the swag, but I don't think Ron would want to deal with much of that stuff, honestly.
Yeah, I mean the swag part, I don't want like Odell Beckham, all that stuff. I want a guy with some swag that we haven't had in like a long time,
Sure.
Jamin Davis, real deal? What do you think so far?
I think so, but I don't. Dude, there's no hitting. Like we really didn't get a fair look at the linebackers. And I also thought it was interesting. He was playing middle most of the time, especially in base. So,
wow.
I think Richmond will be a much better assessment, but I mean, he certainly seems like the real deal. The size and speed are obviously there. The coverage stuff, generally when the first team defense was on the field, the D-line was so disruptive. There wasn't a ton of, watching him cover tight ends and running backs. So I'm excited to watch him in Richmond.
Yeah, Matt Miller was saying that we had him on the show, and he was saying that having Jamin Davis behind that D-line is just unfair. He said it's unfair for the league. So I'm looking forward to seeing Jamin ball out.
That's a good thing to hear, yeah.
Yeah.
How would you – and I know I've heard you say for this season that you think that it's possible the team could win less games but still have a more successful season. I'm just wondering how you would and how you think fans should define success for this team in 2021 that kind of overachieved last year. Like, what do we need to see this year to feel good?
See, I'm not sure they overachieved. I just think the division underachieved so bad that their achievements perhaps look grander or something. And maybe they did overachieve to win even 7 games with 4 quarterbacks and all that. I don't know. You mean like non-wins and losses success?
I mean, it could be wins and losses. It could be other things. Just I guess like wins and losses is obviously a part of it. Because in my mind,
Sure.
you'd like to see them at least match or, not take a step back in terms of wins and losses.
Yeah, I mean, I think you definitely can't take a step back, especially with a 17-game season. Like if you go 6-11, that's a problem.
Right. Right.
I think the goal to me for a successful season is winning a playoff game.
Okay.
That doesn't happen very often around here. It hasn't happened in 15 years or whatever. Which is just absurd. The amount of bad football we've all watched. But I think that would be my like if it's a pyramid, that's the top of my pyramid.
Okay.
Coming down from that, I think you can look at some specific like statistical stuff. I think you'd like to see a jump from your offense. What's crazy is the offense made a yardage jump per game from 19 to 20, and they were still bottom 5 in the NFL. Like the leaps and bounds offensively they need to make are significant. So I think you'd like to get your yards per play, yards per game up into, I think middle of the pack would be a big jump. Like if they can get to 16th in the NFL on offense,
right,
and that would be a big jump. Defensively, one kind of objective, one kind of subjective is, we saw the numbers last year were second in scoring, fourth in yards, or maybe I had that reversed, but you hope to just maintain something like that. I mean, hell, maybe you make your goal as the number one defense, in yards allowed in the league. But the subjective side of it for me would be have some success against good quarterbacks. Like when you see the guys that were under center on the teams they beat last year, you wonder how not legitimate, because all you can do is play the guys out there. But you wonder if there's not some inflationary statistics in there when you start counting Nick Mullins and Ben DiNucci and Ryan Finlay and
Andy Dalton.
Nate Sudfeld. Yeah, right. So I think, certainly win a playoff game would be the top of the list. Dramatic improvement offensively. And here's the thing. I'm not saying they're going to be a top 10 offense. Dramatic improvement would be jumping 10 spots into the middle of the pack.
Right.
And then the defense just kind of proven it's no fluke,
Right.
Yes.
I agree with that. I think one of my biggest questions on the season will be the defense against some of these really good quarterbacks. Because last we saw them, they were getting, diced up by Tom Brady. So you'd like to see them not just play well against the bad offensive lines, but dominate the good ones too.
Dude, even more than that, it was getting torched in the run game.
Yeah,
think about the playoff game. Dude, they had back-to-back games at home to win that damn division against the Seahawks and the Panthers.
Yeah.
Dude, Russ didn't do much that day when Seattle came to town.
No.
They just crushed them on the ground.
Yeah.
And some of that was Russ running himself. I think he had like 60 rush yards that game.
Yeah.
And then against the Panthers, it was Curtis Samuel.
Yeah.
That's where I think you really hope Jamin Davis makes a big difference. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Go ahead, Tate.
Quarterback position. I got one more question. Just the quarterback position. What do you think needs to be done? Who would you like there? And do you think a veteran, obviously next year, or are you on the rookie quarterback side, looking ahead?
I think it's gonna be a veteran. I don't know who. I wish I did. I think a veteran just makes a lot of sense, and I think you're going to see continued increased kind of quarterback movement in the NFL. I total gut, like I have no source on this, but I just feel like Matt Ryan will be available. But you're starting to get, these quarterbacks that are on the move are 36, 37, 38.
Right.
I don't know how long-term they are of answers. I would be interested in Deshaun Watson still, especially as that, because that thing's not a criminal case whatsoever. It's all civil, and it's not to condone or I don't know what the hell happened, and it doesn't seem great, obviously. But like, and I'm sure the NFL, it seems like that's going to a settlement, and I'm sure the NFL will have some punishment afterwards. But I don't know. Sean Watson's really, really good.
Right.
And he'll have to speak to what happened and explain. That will all play itself out, but I would still be interested in that. I don't think Rodgers is coming here. It just doesn't seem plausible. And then, a rookie would be interesting. Anybody's going to tell you they know what this upcoming quarterback class looks like is full of it. Like, I mean, it just is the truth. Like, think about the 2019 season. Everybody was tanking for Tua, and then Joe Burrow emerges.
Right.
And then Justin Herbert ends up being better than Tua. Like, people just don't know. Those guys are all working hard to be the best they can, Sam Howell, what's the kid's name? Super Rattler in Oklahoma. Like, who knows? But I'm also, I'm kind of on an island. I've said this though all along. Like, I don't think Heinicke's a career backup. Like, I think.
Yeah, I remember you saying that recently.
I think there's a 10 or 15% chance he emerges as something that is real and crazy and a wild ride.
Mm-hmm.
And then like an 80% chance he's out of the league. Like, I think Kyle Allen's a good career backup. I think Heinicke's either too small and gets injured or becomes a real player.
Yeah, I agree with that, which it was a perfect segue to my last question. Because Ryan Fitzpatrick is your day one starter, right? He's QB1. But do we see Taylor Heinicke start a game or games in 2021? Your gut opinion of it, yes or no?
Hell yeah. Dude, it has nothing to do with Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Right, yeah.
I'm just looking at the numbers.
Yeah.
The straight, objective numbers.
Mm-hmm.
The Washington football team has averaged 3 starting quarterbacks per season over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And in 2 of those years, they had 4 different guys start games.
Yeah.
And you got a 17-game season.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got your QB1 hasn't started 16 games since 2015.
Yeah,
I think all 3 of these dudes end up starting, and I think it'd be great if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong and Fitz goes 17 games, I think they win double-digit games because 1, he's good. 2, there's consistency.
Right. Yeah.
So I hope I'm wrong on that. I'm just kind of playing the average.
Yeah, no, that's my rationale too. I don't see any reason why that streak of 3 or 4 quarterbacks a season would end this year where there's still uncertainty about a long-term solution. But I guess we're in for another wild ride, but hopefully it'll be fun and hopefully it'll lead to success. I know it makes your job easier and more fun, makes our lives a little bit better. I can only imagine. Thanks so much for your time, JP. I know it seems like you can take a lot of flack. Some people seem to hate on you because your view and thoughts and opinions of the team are very like fair and balanced and not biased. But we appreciate that. So thank you, and we enjoy all you do. We enjoy reading your work, listening to your work, and so keep it up because we love it. And when you go on to ESPN, NFL Network, or wherever it is, just don't forget about the little guys.
Dude, I'm not going anywhere. This is home. But thank you, boys.
Awesome,
I appreciate it.
Have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Take care, guys. No problem.